Shalom, hello, listening audience, everyone that's out there tuning into this live. I am Achoti. Thank you for listening in now or later. Very important topic I want to talk about before the premiere of Ramzu Yunus in the Republic of Jackson. I thought I preferenced this premiere this premiere interview with with a couple of things. Some people were asking why is this important? It's just a story that we chose to cover on our website, our news website, news facts and comments. And one of the reasons why we chose this topic is because it is such a grassroots effort that individuals are partaking in. And so it's a story, right? So we oftentimes talk about boots on the ground. And so I literally wanted to find those individuals. I'm on a mission to find those individuals that are really out there with boots on the ground. And I want to shed light on their story. That being said, that took me down to Jackson, Mississippi, because I've heard that Ramzu Yunus was holding yet another referendum, and the referendum usually come by way of a group of people coming together, deciding that they want to go out and solicit signatures, um, so that they can present those signatures as a collective, with one voice and one mission, to achieve something. So that's um, my understanding of what was going on in Jackson, Mississippi on June 25th. So the interview that's going to premiere here tonight at 8 o'clock is just a honest talk that I had with Brother Ramzu Yunus the day before the actual event took place. So um, that's that part. So I also wanted to let you guys know that I did discover a couple of things along the way, about Ramzu Yunus before going into the um, the interview. Just a little history. I first noticed Ramzu Yunus a couple of years ago. He popped up on my radar when I came across this news story, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can see the news story that I saw that kind of had me perk my interest, like what is this all about, right? So I'm gonna share my screen so I can pull up that article. Where is it? I think it's this one. I'm gonna share this right here. Okay, so go down here. When I scroll down here, it was this particular um article. What's this? This one. Okay, yeah, this one. This is the search. So I saw, I think it was this one. It was held up. It was one that said, oh, here it is, right here. So this is the article that I seen back in 2021, September 2nd, 2021. I seen this article, and I did a live on it. I went live on it and just spoke briefly about it. And so it says here that the suspect, being Ramzu Yunus, that barricaded himself inside a Detroit home after firing shots at someone and prompting a police standoff for 2 hours Wednesday night, is the same resident accused of handing out phony deeds to city homes. So this this gentleman, Ramzu Yunus, was jailed, but then later let go without any further incident. And then and at the same time, they were saying that he was running a scam on having people believe that they were going to get free homes. And so, after doing further investigation, I realized that he was using the UN's charter on human rights. Individuals such as Elena Porter introduced me to that whole concept of uh, right to self determination through the UN's charter on human rights. So I said that's very interesting. I think that's something that may be interesting to my audience. So um, the article here, it says here, gunman involved in police standoff in Detroit, ID'd as man behind phony deeds. And like I said, he was arrested. Police are seeking charges of assault with intent to murder after he shot at someone trying to evict him from the home he was staying in. So, um, I guess we can say that nothing happened because now Ramzu, Jackson, Mississippi. Um, you'll hear him speak for himself tonight at 8 o'clock. Um, but I just wanted to introduce you all to him to get a better understanding as to why I chose this gentleman, because some of you may not know him and may not know his history. So this is what sparked my attention, and then learning more about him, I learned more about the UN Charter, United Nations, right? Their charter, and their preamble states the following: we the people of the United Nations determine to save succeeding generations from scourge of war, which twice in our lifetime has been to uh brought untold sorrow to mankind, and to reaffirm faith in fundamental human rights. I want to make sure that you all are seeing what I'm seeing, and I had a feeling that you weren't. So let me see. Looks like my screen is frozen on that side. So let me see. I'm going to share my screen again and see if we can get that to pop up this time. Okay. So here we go. So it says, we the people of the United States determine, or the United Nations, I'm sorry, we the people of the United Nations determine to have succeeding generations. There we go. To have succeeding generations, right? From scourge of war, which twice in our life has brought untold sorrow to mankind, and to reaffirm faith and fundamental human rights and dignity in dignity and worth of human person, in equal rights of men and women in the nations, large and small, and to establish conditions under which justice and respect for the obligations arising from treaties and other sources of international law can be maintained, and to promote social progress and better standards of life in larger freedom. So this is United Nations Charter I'm reading, and the principles and articles are laid out here In Article number 1, it states to maintain international peace and security, and to that end, to take effective collective measures for the prevention and removal of threats to the peace and for the suppression of acts of aggression and other breaches of peace, and to bring about a peaceful means in the conformity and where principles of justice and international law, adjustment or settlement in international disputes or situations which might lead to a breach of the peace. Now, we we can say that several times here in the United States, um, we've had several breaches of peace, particularly among melanated people or people of color or black people or African American or indigenous people or Aboriginal people. That group of people who has been systematically discriminated against, they have had a breach of their peace with no repair, i.e., reparations to it. So when you look at the articles here, you scroll down to the articles, and all the members of the organization, including the United States, are basically following these guidelines. Membership includes um, they said here the original members of the United Nations shall be the states which have participated in the United Nations Conference on International Organization at San Francisco, or having previously signed a declaration by United Nations of January 1942, signed by the present charter, and ratify it in accordance to Article 10. Membership in United Nations is open to all other peace-loving states which accept the obligations contained in the present charter and in the judgment of organizations and are willing to carry out these obligations. So I'm scrolling down through the articles of the establishment of the General Assembly, the establishment of the United Nations, right? So the United Nations does have what they call a human rights arm, right? So when you just go in and you just do a simple Google search for the United Nations Charter for Human Rights, you'll find that the Charter for Human Rights, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, I'll pull it up right here. Now, we're switching over to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights for the United Nations. And this is international law. When the General Assembly of the United Nations adopted on December 10, 1948, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, in one of the brief spell of enlightenment in the 20th century, one could hardly anticipate that a historical process of generalization of the international protection of human rights was being launched on a truly universal scale. Throughout the last 6 decades of remarkable historical projection, the direct declaration has gradually acquired an authority which its draftsman could not have foreseen. This happened not only because of persons who participated in its elaboration, nor because of the form which was given to the historical document, nor because the circumstances of its adoption. It happened mainly because successive generations of human beings from distinct cultures and all over the world recognized in it a common standard of achievement and originally proclaimed, which correspond to the deepest and most legitimate aspirations. I'm going to get down to the part that pertains to what I found in reference to Mr. Ramzu Yunus. So it says the 1948 Declaration of Human Rights is widely recognized as having inspired and paved the way for the adoption of more than 70 human rights treaties applied today on a permanent basis at global and regional levels, all containing references to it in their preambles. In addition, the Universal Declaration served as a model for the enactment of numerous human rights norms in national constitutions and legislations and help to ground decisions of national and international courts. The Universal Declaration, moreover, is today widely recognized as an authoritative interpretation of human rights provisions of the Charter of the United Nations itself, heralding the transformation of the social and international order to secure the enjoyment of proclaimed rights. So I don't know if you all know that according to the United States Public Law 2790, that the Bible is the law of the land, right? The premise of how the Constitution was formed was based on the Bible, right? And it's public law that I believe is Public Law 2790. Well, since we're in this doing the search, we might as well continue. I believe it's Public Law 2790. Well, the Congress declared that the law of the land is the Bible. So if that's the case, um, uh, 2970, let's see, Public Law, the Bible, Public Law. So it's Public Law 97-280. So I'm gonna share my tab so you can see where I'm getting this from. Whereas the Bible, the Word of God, has this is joint resolution proclaimed in 1983 as the year of the Bible, right? Whereas the Bible, the Word of God, has made unique contribution in shaping the United States as distinctive and blessed nation and people, whereas deeply held religious convictions springing from the Holy Scriptures led to the early settlement of our nation. Whereas biblical teachings inspire concepts of civil government that are contained in our Declaration of Independence in the Constitution of the United States, whereas many of our great national leaders, among the President Washington, Jackson, Lincoln, Wilson, pay tribute to the surpassing influence of the Bible in our country's development, as in the words of President Jackson, that the Bible is the rock on which our republic rests. Whereas the history of our nation clearly illustrates the value of voluntary applying the teachings of the scripture in the lives of individuals, families, and societies. Whereas this nation now faces great challenges that will test the nation as it has never been tested before, and whereas the renewing our knowledge of faith in God through Holy Scripture can strengthen us as a nation and people, now therefore be resolved by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled that the President is authorized and requested to designate 1983 as a national year of the Bible in recognition of both formative influence the Bible has been in our nation in our national need to study and apply the teachings of the Holy Scriptures. With that being said, that goes back to what the United Nations is implying right here, that we have a right to be self-determined and self-governing, right? Right here. Turning our eyes to the past as well as to the future, it is undeniable that there have effectively been, in these 6 decades since the adoption of the 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights, considerable advances above all in the process of Jurisdictionalization and international protection of human rights. This is a domain of protection which admits no steps backwards and which have been contributing more than any other branch of law of nations to the gradual expansions of material content of just Kogan's, besides disclosing and pressing need today to consolidate irregar Almana's obligations of protection. They have an obligation to protect your protections. Such development has been due to the universal jurisdictional conscience as the ultimate material source of international law and indeed of all law. They keep on asserting the universality of human rights at both the normative and operational levels as lucidly propounded 6 decades ago by the Universal Declaration of 1948. So these same laws still apply to those individuals, all those that sign that Declaration of Human Rights, all those great nation states, France, United States, Europe, France, United States, Germany, Russia, um, yeah, I'm missing. I think it's Spain, but I'm missing someone. But there's a five great heads, right? China, that's it, China. So the five great heads signed this, and so they have to acknowledge it. The United States have not acknowledged the fact that the United Nations Division on Human Rights have declared that the United States is in gross violations of human rights against particularly African Americans, in the form of police brutality, in the form of economic redlining, in economic oppression, right? All those things were outlined in their report, the United Nations report. And so, what I guess Brother Ramzu has decided to do is take the bull by its horn and is telling the United States and also his fellow citizens in these various cities that he's gone to, that hey, you have a right to declare your self-determination, and here is how you go about doing it the legal way according to international law. So that is where we are with Brother Ramzu today. He has already established what he's deemed to be Republic of Detroit. I'm gonna share this website because I did not share the website, and I don't believe I shared it in the documentary or the interview, right? So here's the website for Republic of Detroit. They have here is the housing program he has here. We'll wait for that to come up. And then I'll move on to see if I'll go to the chat to see if anybody has any questions or want to come up and take the link and discuss anything. So the free housing program he has here. There should never be homeless owners of a corporation that owns empty homes, right? So housing is a right. Live your best life. Talks about corruption in the city, which is why the people are declared to uh, remove consent, right? So then there's one, and then here is now, which brings us to Jackson, Mississippi, Republic of Jackson. So he's doing the same thing he did in Detroit. He's now moving to Jackson. There was an opportunity because of two bills that passed, and when it actually went into effect July 1st, is they're still working it out in the courts as to if the Supreme Court of that state is going to let those bills stand, right? So it's in appeals right now, or being heard in the courts right now. That's House Bill, and this is Jackson, or this Mississippi House Bill 1020, which establishes a whole a whole new judicial court system, whereby the judges that's going to sit on this court system are not elected but selected by another government official, and they're going to have jurisdiction over a good bit of Jackson, which is predominantly made up of African Americans, right? And then also you have the House Bill 28, I believe it's 2883 or 2838, 2383, right? That's the bill that's gonna basically prohibit or cause one to have to apply for a permit to protest, and they need approval. Your permit needs approval. Your application for permit needs approval from two state officials, one being the chief of police, and then the other one being some other state official has to approve, which makes it cumbersome for someone to exercise their First Amendment right just to protest. So um, Brother Ramzu was down there in Jackson, Mississippi, and I believe he is still down there. When I left Jackson, Mississippi, they were on their way of gathering 8,000 signatures to remove consent to be self-governing as the Republic of Jackson. So imagine that, a city within a city where the people controlled um, their their well-being, from the economy to the education to running off the infrastructure. So in less than 30 minutes we will hear from Ramzu Yunus himself, and I I hope that you all enjoy the enjoy the interview. I learned some things. I definitely learned some things in the course of me doing research for this interview. I learned a lot of things. You're going to hear him speak about the Republic of New Africa. We're going to talk about Queen Mother Moore. We're going to talk about Ramsu's book a little bit, and you get to know the man behind the revolution. So um, with that being said, let me see if there is anybody in chat that's saying anything. No, no one's saying anything in the chat. So I'm going to keep on going and just show this one. It's one other clip I wanted to show. It's one of the. I think I showed you that Detroit. And that's Jackson. Oh, there it is. So also you're going to hear within the interview, you're going to hear us speak on NAPO. And once again, I didn't get a chance to go through that. And what I found on this website was quite interesting because, of course, when you do your research, you'll see here, um, you'll see here pictures of um, Russian President Vladimir Putin on the same page with Brother Ramzu. So you'll hear him speak about that whole propaganda scandal that's going around on the internet as well. The media is saying that uh, Ramzu is basically spewing Russian propaganda. He speaks on that as well in this interview. So I'm a firm believer of getting it straight out the horse's mouth rather than me assuming anything about anyone. So, um, with that being said, let me see here. I didn't share my screen, so you're gonna hear him talk about NAPO, and you're gonna hear him talk about the Russian president here on the website. You'll see him here posted up, but in addition to that, you also see him with African presidents. Um, Zimbabwe president of Zimbabwe. He mentioned that he met with the Central African president. Um, he also said that he met with uh, Venezuela. He went with Hugo Chavez, I believe he said, of Venezuela. And so the several dignitaries that he's been in company with, as well as people that, I guess the youngsters may know of this particular person. And so this is what I did not get a chance to ask um, Ramju about this particular person. And I'll just go ahead and pull it up. Um, I'm gonna pull it up and I'm gonna share my screen, and then you guys tell me if you recognize this individual. Um, because I was shocked when I saw this picture. Oh, all over the place. Give me a moment, fam, and I'm gonna bring it up. Of course, they would not have that picture front and center because it's kind of like, for some reason, uh, let me see. I'm gonna do it a search for it another way. Bear with me, family. I'm gonna search for it another way because some for some reason it's hard to find good things about uh, Brother Ramzu. So that's why it's always good to have someone to allow you to tell your story, or you capture the story um, for yourself, right? So yeah, they have really censored that picture. hmm So, but at any rate, it was Lil Bootsy uh, was seen pictured with Mr. Yunus. So, it, one day we'll get him back on Achoti speaks, and he'll tell us about his dealings with Lil Bootsy. But I don't want to hold you guys up too much longer, because I want you to be prepared to watch the interview. Very impactful, very thought provoking. Just something to think about, right? Just something for you to think about in regards to liberating our people, what a revolution really looks like, or is this what a revolution should really look like? These things we definitely want to ponder. So, and also before we leave, I definitely want you to take time out to go to another website before the live start. You have plenty of time to go and visit this website. And I'm going to share my screen again. So we want you to go to this website and click on donate and enter any dollar amount, right? For Othel Wallace Legal Defense Fund. His court date has been set and is now going to be September 5th in Clay County. He is facing the death penalty. So, encouraging everyone to go to Otho Wallace Legal Defense Fund and donate to help pay for his attorneys. He needed a certified death penalty attorney, and that is not cheap. And so we're still trying to pay and make sure that the attorneys will continue to be paid throughout the trial. Um, we have 60 days left before trial starts. So please, if you see this now and if you see this later, go to www.otho.org and donate. Any dollar amount helps. And you can remain anonymous if you so choose, or you can send a message as well. People are still donating, and I am so grateful for that. So we haven't had any donations since July 2nd. So, you know, nobody's left a comment since July 2nd. So let's let our brother know that we're still thinking about him. Um, and yeah, all the while is Legal Defense Fund. So checking the chat one time. No one's in the chat. Right to self determination, resonates with some people. Right determination doesn't resonate with a lot of people. But one thing I will always tell my people is to keep an open mind, right? Chew the meat, spit out the bones, right? And then make a decision. Don't make a decision based on ignorance and not knowing. Do your research, find out what's going on, and then just present the facts and then let the people decide. So that's what I'm here to do. News, facts, in comments. So I implore you guys to leave your comments in the comment section. If you view this later, um, share this video, so that you'll know what we're talking about when we're talking about Ramzu Yunus and we're talking about the United Nations. Share the video, so and then share the interview, right? So that people can be prepared to make up their mind, because this is not something that's just happening in this little bubble. People in on the West Coast and during the reparations conversation are talking about self-determination. People on the East Coast, in the tri-state area in New York, they had a referendum. They did a plebiscite vote, and the UN told them that now that you've done that, now go out and do self-determination. So it is a thing. Not saying that it's going to be successful or that the United States will allow it to happen. It is a thing. So let's just be mindful of that and not remain ignorant to what's happening around us, and so that we could be prepared to make a decision if need be. Um, so with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and say enjoy the interview. Shouts out to Ramzu, and shouts out to the people in Jackson, Mississippi. Shouts out to the people in Detroit. If they're saying that they're exercising their right to self determination, which is their God given right, then hey, kudos to you. I'm Achoti Tamar. Don't forget 8 o'clock, the premiere of my exclusive interview with Ramzu Yunus of Republic of Jackson. This is Achoti Tamar, and I approve this message. Shalom.